what I learned while writing my 2 books. And I learned so much from the process of writing Dead Heart, An Origin Story, and Trent Foster and the Council of 10. The things I learned during the writing of those books completely have changed the trajectory of my life so immensely that everything that I thought I was gonna do is gone. Like, all the stuff that I had saw my life becoming has now changed. I'm now living the life that I had always dreamed of living. And I'm living it on a small level, right? But I'm still living that life, which is incredible, because it doesn't matter. I talked about this in a podcast the other day, but it doesn't matter what level you're at. Live the life of your dreams right now. $10 million is not going to give you the life of your dreams. It's more than money. Living the life of your dreams is more than money. It's more than having a nice car. It's more than having somebody on your arm who you think is beautiful or hot or sexy or whatever. It's more than having a big house and 2.5 kids and a great credit score. It's more than all those things. It's this self-fulfillment. It's this thing that lights us up inside on a regular basis that we just like, the thing that we've always wanted to do. I remember being asked as a child, Matt, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I had no freaking clue. Like, I would always say football player, baseball player, lawyer, doctor. Like, my dad was a professional baseball player. So I thought, okay, I can do that maybe. It was just these things, like everyone said doctors and lawyers were great, made really good money, and it was important. I grew up poor, so I was like, well, maybe I can make some good money as a doctor or a lawyer. I didn't want to be a freaking doctor or a lawyer. For one, I'm terrified of blood. I can't even, I have to pray to God to protect me when I get a shot, because I am so afraid of needles. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer either. I don't know anything about the law. And I don't really care to know anything about the law. And that's okay. You know what I am? I'm somebody who loves to make people laugh. I'm somebody who loves to interact and communicate. I'm somebody who loves to hot dog and show off and be in front of a crowd. I love that stuff. I'm always the guy like, hey, everybody, look at me, look at me, look at me. Because that's me. That's the stuff that gets me jazzed up. Like, I remember being in school, and the teachers had to put me in the corner every day. Like, I was constantly, my desk was just in the corner. It was away from everybody else because I wanted to be the guy. I wanted everyone to, the teacher was boring, okay? First off, the teacher was boring. Not my fault. It's her fault. No, I'm not even saying it. Look, but I wanted to entertain. I wanted people to, okay, and this comes from a place of pain, like most things do, I think. I was one of 5 children, raised in an alcoholic household, very poor growing up, and never had any attention. My mom was constantly working. My dad had left. Older brother who didn't want anything to do with me. He was going through his own stuff. Sisters, they were all doing their thing. They were like a clan. And I was just kind of, the kid that was in the middle. I wasn't the middle child. I was number 4. But I just didn't have a voice. I didn't have any. I had nothing to offer my family except for maybe some laughter, maybe some reprieve from the stress that we had to deal with every single day, and I did that as much as possible. I tried my freaking best to be as entertaining, as silly, as goofy, as funny as possible, just so people would pay attention to me, because I saw that when they laughed, when they lit up, they looked at me. They really looked at me. And when they laughed, I felt something change inside of me, because it made me laugh too. And I was like, I want to do that for the rest of my life. I want to make people laugh. I want to have as many friends as possible. It reminds me of Michael Scott in The Office when he's like, I want to have 1 million friends and I want to have 100 kids so they can all be my best friend. Like, I wanted a family to love and cherish and like have this amazing community with, because I didn't have that. Like, being alone all the time changes a person. It changes you into somebody who desperately craves attention and spotlight, or that just turns inward so much that you don't see anybody else besides yourself. And that was me. I had turned into a monster. I turned into myself. I was always on the opposite extremes. I was either way too far out there in front of other people, or I was way too withdrawn, and it didn't serve me. It didn't serve the world. I was doing unhealthy things. I was drinking. I was using drugs. I was sleeping around. I was doing all the bad stuff. All the stuff that I never imagined myself doing. Everything that as a child, I never assumed that I would have done the things that I have done as a man. I never believed that those things possible of me. And they were possible. I allowed it to get to that point. I allowed myself to go to a point where I did things that I never thought I would do. And now, here's the good news. I don't have to live like that anymore. I don't live like that anymore. I'm living such a wonderful, free life now because I've made a decision. I changed. I got help. And I think about it all the time, how important it is. Like, I want to spread the message of recovery and getting help in community and God and higher power, that it's possible to get help from the deepest depths. You know, I was on my deathbed. I was throwing up pretty much every day, blood and bile and just whatever, because I was drinking about a half gallon of vodka every day. And I was sick. I went to bed every night for like a month, multiple different times through drinking and relapsing, where I wanted to drink myself to a point where I wouldn't wake up in the morning. And that was terrifying. But it was also like the only way I saw out of this misery that was life. I was so miserable with my life, I didn't see any other way. And so what I'm writing now is what I learned from writing these books, right? So what I learned is through this process of getting 7 months ago, I don't want to jump the gun here, 7 months ago, an act of providence happened. Something happened, and I just didn't want to drink that day. And I was able to hold on for long enough that I reached out to a friend and made a phone call. I was so sick and tired and terrified that I was going to die in my bed, and that was it for me. My life had reached its apex, and it reached it in the worst way possible. And I thought that was all. I thought it was game over. And so I reached out to a friend, called him. We met up at a meeting. I got a sponsor. My sponsor took me through the steps. We worked a program of recovery. And 4 months after that, I had to really look at myself. And during that process, it's all about self-discovery. It's all about clearing away the garbage, clearing away the stuff, getting over the past. Coming to understanding that you don't have to hold on to your past to where it's going to drag you down to the bottom. I made a lot of mistakes in my past. I did a lot of bad things in my past. I'm not that guy anymore. You know, it's like I had to completely destroy this idea that I'm a perfect person. For whatever reason, I thought I had to be perfect every day. When I walked out the door, you had to see a perfect Matt. If he wasn't perfect, then he should have never gotten out of bed. And there was a lot of days I didn't get out of bed because I didn't think I could be perfect. I let that fear absolutely destroy me. So it had to be smashed, and it gets smashed. The delusion that I am perfect gets smashed by working the program. I come to a realization of humility, of understanding who I am, and who I am isn't a terrible person. You know, I was insane while I was drinking. I was insane. I did crazy things. I've been locked up in an insane asylum. I've done crazy things. I acted insane while drinking. There are moments of insanity still in my life. Yes. I'm no longer insane on a consistent basis. I have found that I can get to sanity throughout the day by working such simple steps and such simple program. Praying, meditating, talking to another human. Like, simple, right? Focusing on my breath. Simple. Breath is number one. I breathe. I have to breathe to stay alive. If I don't know how to breathe properly, if I don't ever focus on my breathing, there are going to be times where I feel like I can't breathe. I used to have anxiety attacks until I learned how to meditate. So there's so many things that I do now that have changed my life forever. And so here's what happened with writing. Because I wrote these 2 books in 3 months. Okay, and the whole idea was I wanted to be a writer. I decided I can't go back to the management positions anymore. I can't run a gym anymore. I don't want to do that. I thought I wanted to do that, but it wasn't my course. It was a course built out of fear, pain, rejection. I was a fat kid growing up. Everyone picked on me. I showed them I could be thin. I could be attractive. I could have the body that everybody else wanted, and I did that. But it wasn't built out of something real. It was only built to prove other people wrong. I had to come to the realization that I had to do the things for me that I love to do. And what I love doing is communicating with other human beings. I love lighting people up. I love being lit up, and I love making people laugh. And there's multiple ways to go about that, but what I had to do in this process of writing was I had to come to the realization that I have a great story. Now, my story is hard to tell sometimes. And when I finally decided I'm going to be a writer, come hell or high water, because it's what I want to do. I have these stories. I want to be a writer. And it came after the last job interview I went on, where the guy didn't show up. I walked around Midtown for an hour, and after an hour of walking around Midtown in August in a button-up shirt, slacks, and shoes that didn't fit right, so my feet were bleeding, I left sweaty, tired, and pissed off. I said, I will not do the same shit that I've done for my entire life anymore. I'm done. I made the decision, and I wrote 2 paragraphs. It was a fictionalization of what happened that during that interview, or not interview, basically. And from that day forward, I have written every single day. I've written something every single day. And I've realized that if I want to become a writer, it's fucking simple. Really, really simple. If I want to be a writer, I have to do one thing. I have to write. Now, that's simple. And a lot of people get lost in this, right? Because we can always make things more complicated than they need to be. If I want to be a writer, write. Just write. Okay? That's all. That's all we got to do. Now, to write is one thing. To be a good writer is different. Now, being a good writer takes time. It takes patience. It takes working on your craft. It takes building skill over time. So I have this written down on my goal board. The only way to success is through hard work, persistence, and consistent action. So I have to take consistent action every day to write, not only write, but to study writing, which is reading. Whoa, that's really hard. I love to read, okay? It's something that makes me excited. I love doing it. I have to try and get better. So that means I have to be willing to put my work out there and get critiqued. I have to be willing to allow it to be told that it's not good. I have to come to the conclusion that I'm not perfect. And any time that I start feeling like, oh my God, I just did something stupid, I have to remember that it's okay. Who gives a shit? I do stupid stuff all the time. I'm sure you do stupid stuff all the time. You look like a stupid person. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure you're wonderful. But we all make mistakes and we all do stupid things. That's never going to change. It hasn't changed for the 6,000 years of recorded human history. People have made mistakes. It just is what it is. Period. We screw up, we get up, we do it again. We do something different. We try something different. If it didn't work that time, try something different, see if that works. If we stop trying, we lose. If we stop trying, we don't grow. If we stop trying, game over, life over, just bye. Get gone, right? Because what's the point if we're done trying? The thing I had to smash was, okay, I'm going to put my work out there. Not only with my writing, but now with these videos. I'm going to do some stuff. I'm going to do some stuff that may seem stupid, may seem ridiculous. I'm throwing the stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks. Because here's the only key. Here's all that I'm doing. I'm doing things that I think are hilarious. I'm doing things that I think are of service. I'm doing things that I think are entertaining. And I'm doing things that I think may help somebody else. I'm sticking to those 4 principles. If it doesn't meet that criteria, I'm not doing it. Okay? So if it's not entertaining, it's not helping somebody else, it's not of service, and if there's no knowledge to be gained from it, I'm not going to do it. If it doesn't light me up, I'm not going to do it. Now, here's the key to that. The reason I do it that way is because if it makes me happy, if it brings me some form of joy, if for some reason doing the dumb things that I do give me pleasure, then out of 7+ billion people on the freaking face of the earth today, there might be another 1 or 2 people that it brings joy to. Right? So, I'm not trying to identify my audience as people that I want. Because I'm sick and tired of trying to fit into groups that I don't fit into. It's not me anymore. I fit into a separate category. I fit into my own category. But I had to figure out where my starting point was. What category am I in? I only do that by being honest with myself. Being honest with the things that I enjoy. And once I get down to the things I enjoy, I can start doing the things that I enjoy. And once I start doing the things that I enjoy with myself, then I can start doing the things that I enjoy outside of that, honestly, with other people. There's always going to be people that like the same things you like. We are somewhat different in many ways, but we're a lot the same. So don't be afraid to be yourself. I had to learn this through the writing process. I wanted to tell my story, but every time I sat down and wrote it for months, I got stuck, and it kept veering off to a position of fiction, into a position of science fiction, of fantasy. And I was like, I just write the story, man. Just write the story. But something in me told me, well, I don't like memoirs. All right, I didn't want to write a memoir. I wanted something to be inspiring. So what I did was, okay, listen, you want to be inspiring, let's just write an inspiring story. So here's what happens with writing, which is fantastic. And this is what I'm learning. If I just write the story that I love, right? I love fantasy, I love fiction, I love science fiction. So I wrote Dead Heart, an origin story. Dead Heart is a story about Sir Lancelot's son, Sir Aegeon. Now, this is all made up completely because Sir Lancelot had a different son. My dad told me, I didn't listen. But he had somebody else in history, okay? And I know it's all kind of whatever. But Sir Aegeon is the guy I made up. Sir Aegeon was a knight, a great knight. He was the youngest knight of all time. 12 years old, he was made a knight. And from 12 years old on, he was fighting. This picks up at 17 years old when he gets his legs cut off in a battle by a knight named Oak. Oak has a magic sword. The sword that penetrates Sir Aegeon's heart turns Sir Aegeon into a super zombie. Alright? So this story started out as, what happens if a guy loses his legs? Let's write something inspirational. It turned into a comedy fantasy. Okay? Because and what I found was Sir Aegeon was a lot like me. He's goofy, he's silly, he's got like this spirit that is just like undying. Like, he wants to make people happy. He wants to do the right thing. He's a good dude, even though he's a freaking zombie. Like, he's still a good dude, and it's so powerful because he's dead. And it didn't click with me until after I wrote the story that this guy gets killed. He dies and comes back to life and lives his best life as a dead zombie person. and the whole story is he goes on a quest to prove his worth, and he realizes that being turned into a super zombie is the best thing that ever happened to him, because he is now able to realize who he truly is. He's able to live like he's supposed, because everybody hates him now. There is no pretense of maybe he can have this certain life based off what his father wants. His father disowned him when he became a zombie. Now, he has to do it for himself. He's got to find value in his own life. And how crazy is this? I didn't even mean to write the story like this. The story came out and told itself to me. Now, this is why I wrote the 2 books in 3 months. Because I started writing them and I couldn't stop. The stories poured out to me. All right. The second book, Trent Foster and the Council of 10, is a sci-fi adventure about a man who's a personal trainer who is exhausted with life and is just like, I can't keep doing the personal trainer thing. Like, it's driving me crazy. Like, I just want to blow my brains out. I'm tired of like being the guy that fixes everybody's problems, because he's just this guy that helps and fixes everybody. And it was drawing from my experience as a personal trainer that everyone came to me with their problems. I was more of a pseudo therapist than I was a personal trainer. I mean, yeah, I was getting people in shape, but mentally I had to fix these people. I had to mentally change their attitude towards themselves so that they could get over the hurdles each day during each workout. It was so much more than just working out. So I drew a lot of inspiration from that part. But again, this is a man at the end of his rope. He's so sick. He has to have a change in his life. And it's not until something terrible happens that everything changes. He goes into this deep depression. And then all of a sudden he realizes, by some alien force, something outside of him, something otherworldly, other dimensional, something else comes and tells him, you have an unlimited amount of power inside of you. The universe wants you dead. It's up to you to find out how to stop it and how to wield your power to the best of your ability. This story absolutely changed my freaking life, because as I was writing it, I'm writing a story about a man who feels like he's got nothing left to give the world. And at that point, he realizes, my nipples are getting super hard. I'm so excited when I'm talking about this. At that point, he realizes that he has this unlimited potential. He's got this ability to do absolutely anything. The laws of physics do not apply. This is what I realized while writing. That everything I thought was true about my past, everything I thought was true about the history of Matt's life, exists all back there in a place that I don't live anymore. It exists somewhere else besides right now. Once I realized that, and I started writing a story where anything and everything was possible, I realized that anything and everything is possible. Anything and everything. Because in writing this, I came to the realization that, oh my God, this story can not only change my life, but it can change other people's lives as well. Simply by writing that anything and everything is possible, and believing it, and showing it in a story form, sci-fi or not, whatever, fiction, it's the truth. And I've literally been living that truth. Anything and everything is possible, and I've seen it happen. I started a blog 7 months ago because I wanted to say I had published some of my writing. That's it. And I saw that there was a button at the top right hand corner of a blog that said publish. And I thought, oh, well, as soon as I hit that button, I'll be a published writer. What transpired after that is absolutely unfathomable. After that, after begging people to read my blog, the feeling I got from publishing and telling, I was so excited I published something. I wrote a story and I published it. That excitement, the stuff that lit me up, that got me on fire about life, that stuff, man, it went from blog to talking to a friend about my blog, my friend telling me, have you heard of KDP, self-publishing, to me sitting down, trying to figure out, or being in the gym thinking, I want to write a story, I want to write a book, I'm going to write these books, I have this amazing story I want to tell, sitting down for 3 months trying to tell my story until finally it came out as Dead Heart, a Zombie Night Tale, and Trent Foster and the Council of 10. It came out how it wanted to come out. Not only that, but I had dreamed of being on television, of being an actor, of being in front of a million people. I love Les Brown, Tony Robbins. My hero growing up was Jean-Claude Van Damme. Okay, I took karate because of him. I wanted to be like Jean-Claude Van Damme. I thought he was the coolest dude. Arnold Schwarzenegger, you see Rocky posters. I got Arnold in the corner over there. I got all these movie posters too. I wanted to be in front of a crowd. Guess what I'm doing now? It was already available to me. Everything and anything is already possible and available to me right now in this moment. It's all here. And it wasn't until I wrote that book that I realized it's already right here. And I have to do nothing else besides take advantage of the opportunities presently available to me. So, I got on Twitter to promote my work, my books, because self-publishing is tough to do. Self-publishing, writing a book is easy, I found. All you gotta do is write. Selling a book is hard. There's a lot of books out there. Why is your book different? Well, let me tell you something. I went about this the wrong way at first. I wanted to tell everybody about my book. I saw that everyone wanted to tell everybody about their book. So what I did was I started making friends, because it's lonely. It can be it's crazy. As many people as there are in the world, as many people as are online on Twitter, it can be a lonely place. You can be a voice screaming into the void, praying that somebody answers. And so I said, Matt, why don't you try connecting with some of these people? Try making friends. Like, that's what the program teaches me. Reach out. It's about community. Make a friend. Once I started making friends, and I did it just by like reading other people's tweets. Reading their tweets and actually being interested in them. Oh, that's how you really make friends in real life? Yeah, you'd be interested in other people besides yourself. So this idea that I had to being interested in other people changed my life. And it continues to change my life. And it's something I've learned through the program. It's not all about me. And you know what happens when it's not all about me? I get everything I need. Because once I started being about other people's success and other people's progress and growth, when I tapped into that part of me that's the coach, the teacher, the guy who wants to see other people smile and succeed, because that kid's alive. That guy wants to play. He's there. He's very prevalent now too. When I tapped into that, so much changed. I not only have I sold more books than ever, but I've made so many friends along the way. And not only that, but a man who started writing 7 months ago, seriously, has accrued a list of authors now that I know personally, and I'm going to get to know, in creating a bank of information about how to write, about how to publish, about how to query, about how to find an agent, about how to continue writing when you don't know how to write when you don't have time, how to be a better writer, the whole process that they go through, the amount of time they spend, the amount of words they put out, beta readers, editors, everything. You name it. The information that I needed was available to me. But it was only available to me when I got out of myself and started getting into other people. started really looking to help other people. And so I put a tweet out. I said I really want to help other authors become public or get their work out, because here's the deal. I was frustrated that my work wasn't getting noticed. And I thought, this sucks. Like, nobody knows about us. We're a group of amazing people that have written these incredible stories, and nobody knows about us. You know, and I wanted people to know about us, because my belief is that we have these amazing stories inside of us. We're all encoded with this life of terror and dread and like hardship, but also victory and winning and fantastic laughter and love and passion. And most people will never get to hear that story. But there are people that need to hear that story. And each one of us is tuned just a little bit differently. Just a bit, right? Just enough so that the story we tell and the story we have is directed and meant for somebody. It's meant to touch some other people. Right? It's not just meant for us. These stories are not just meant for us. It's why it drives us crazy as writers. It's why we have to get this information out. It's why I feel so compelled to not only YouTube about it, not only blog about it, but podcast about it, tell all my friends about it, tweet about it, get it out as many ways as freaking possible, because I believe that we all have a story that needs to be told, and if it's not told, then we are doing the world a disservice, we are doing ourselves a disservice, and by God, we are not going to change the world for the better, but we are going to fall into a pit of misery that we will never recover from. The earth is headed in a bad direction, my friends, and we have the power, the ability to change that direction if we so choose. If we are willing to tell our story, by God, if we are willing to put ourselves out there and say, look, this is me. You know, my truth may hurt some people's feelings. It may be uncomfortable for myself and others, but by God, it is my truth. It is the story I was put on this earth to tell, and if I don't tell it, nobody will. And if I don't tell it, I will go to the grave with this story buried deep down inside of me, and I will leave this world a little less off because of it. I've come to the conclusion that I will not leave this world that way. I will no longer play small. I will no longer let my light be hidden inside of me for fear of being seen. The shadow that I came from is gone now. It's way in my past. It's in a place that does not exist anymore. Not in reality. I'm here to tell a story. And I hope that story can help somebody else. Because my mission here on earth, my mission in this lifetime, is to serve God and to serve you to the best of my ability, to the end of my days. I must give with all that I can, in all the ways that I can, for as long as I can, to as many people as I can. And I believe that, because that's what turns me on. That's what lights me up. That's what makes me want to wake up in the morning. Doing these videos, yeah. Reading these books online, yeah. Doing these interviews with other authors, absolutely. Making sure that other people's voices are heard, yeah. Getting to a place where I'm strong enough to lift somebody else out of their weakness, or help them up, reach my hand out and help them up. Inspiring another human being to realize that I came from a place of death. But that man had to die. The one that was sick and hurting and thought the world was out to get him had to go. And he did. You know, I drank to the point of death. I was blacked out every night. I wanted to die. And part of me did die. Part of me did die. And he's gone. And I've had to grieve the loss of that guy because he was my friend. He was the one who got me through a lot of stuff. He got me through a lot of hard times. But he was killing me. And so it came to a point where he had to go, or we both had to go. And I made the decision that he had to go. Because this life is more important. Because helping others is more important than helping myself. It's amazing how I get everything I need, everything I could ever want, when I do stuff for other people, when I'm there for another person, when I pour out from my cup. It's amazing what happens. I don't come from a place of fear or lack anymore. I come from a place of abundance. I come from a place where I know that my God is more powerful than I could ever imagine. There is no box large enough to hold my God. There's no place to put him. It's way too big for that. This is what I've realized. And this is what I will do. So that's what I've learned. Hope you enjoyed. And this is simultaneously the This Won't Work podcast and the Uniweb YouTube show. And also blog. Keep doing what you're doing. We got your back.